Hey, everybody. How's it going? Looks like I got my buddy Gatlin Shadow here.
Hello.
Hello there. How are you doing?
Doing well this afternoon.
Busy day today?
Oh my goodness, so much so.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment in my life.
Well, good for you. That's a good place to be. It's a good place to be.
Mhm.
Oh, awesome. So we are going to be doing a little bit of Fortnite Creative. I think what we're going to do today for everyone who's joining us, either live or on the recording, we have produced 5 hour of code lessons inside of Fortnite Creative with the great Steve Isaacs, and who is now I could say we did it with Epic Games because now he's part of Epic Games starting on Monday. So we created these to give students another option to learn coding concepts inside of a game that they enjoy, and hopefully that game is one of those games is Fortnite Creative. So what we're going to do here is show you a demo world that we have been working on that takes all 5 of those lessons and kind of puts them together in one. So if anybody has any questions or comments along the way, we can go ahead and do that. All right. Kratos, what's going on, dude? It's so great to see you joining us again. You were one of the reasons we had to keep this 1:00 on Friday thing going because you were so broken up about missing us. So we're like, do it for him, and
we got your back.
Yeah, and he showed up. And Jagarbov, the great Jig, is here. He's submitted. He is the master of submitting Minecraft bugs and helping get it. He's like one of the main reasons that program is as solid as it is, because that guy tests it and reports everything like a good, responsible citizen. But thanks for joining us today, Jig. So we're going to walk you through a world that we've been working on. And I'm going to share my screen.
Cool.
And definitely going to share my audio. Okay, cool. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to post in the chat, hopefully. Yeah. So this is a link to our website that has the kind of the jump off point for all of the 5 different hour of code lessons. The other thing, if you're just getting started with Fortnite Creative and want to kind of learn how to use the controls and how the game works from a creative standpoint, then we also created earlier, we created a class, Fortnite in Education. So it's Fortnite Creative. You're gonna have to help me look up that link. Teaching. Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you. Teaching with Fortnite Creative. So this is kind of geared towards teachers that want to integrate Fortnite Creative into their teaching so that kids can use it, and you can use it to teach lessons that resonate with kids, and also to allow your students to submit projects that leverage this creative platform. Cool. All right. So here's the world. Gatlin, I can
send them invites.
We're the boys are partying up.
Dang.
Let's see. Invite to party. We're just gonna have to turn the party audio off. I'll change it to push to talk. All right, cool. Let me know if you have any trouble getting in. So we thought the theme for this is kind of like, this is one of my early inspirations, is it's an arcade. And so what we did was we took the props inside of the game and invented our own little arcade games. And so we were working with Yerk YT on this as well. So he's helped us with some of the creative builds, also with some of the mechanics. Really cool dude that is definitely has a passion for creating and sharing and teaching. So he's a great part of our team when we get to collaborate together. So here's a little cool Dance Dance Revolution kind of game. that he made, a little flight simulator kind of deal, just like a chair and things put in there. We got our little gaming center here. That's kind of a prop, that's not too new, not too custom. This is little skee ball. You like that skee ball? You can see the sign here is the sign that's overhead on the entrance to our building, and a lot of this is super custom stuff. This, I love this one. This, you know what this is, Gatlin? I'll give
I don't know what that. Should I recognize? Am I too young for this?
No, this is actually a deep fryer.
Oh,
so you can see
about what was on screen.
Yeah, no, the tickets up top are like orders, and this is like actually a deep fryer that I put a console and a monitor on to make it look like a big arcade game.
That's amazing. That's like the best thing about some of these games is you can just bash these things together. I love it.
Yeah, it was fun, and then yeah, we got the prizes. I did not expect that. Yeah, see, like that's the great thing with being creative. Here I took the little ticket guy dispenser and added it to a little ATM style machine, so it looks like the old ticket dispenser. And here you go. This down here, I think it's like a bookshelf or something that I took and smashed up. This is the same basically the same computer that's like this tall one right here is all smushed down small to look kind of like a coin mechanism. The basketball thing, chain link fence, wall piece, basketball hoops. Look, it even has basketballs on it. How cool is that? So just kind of showing you some of what you can do creatively. These here, I love this ceiling. These are actually wall panels, glass wall panels. Some of them have like partial solid wall, some partial glass. And so I just kind of align them all to look like a really cool ceiling. Of course, you have your impossible claw scam of the century. I don't think in my entire life, I don't think I've ever clawed anything.
I think I've made more money in stocks than had better luck at stocks than this.
Seriously, I mean, the claws makes me so mad. I definitely do not get the turn when the claws are actually having some tension on them. There's a little door there. That's actually like a little anvil case, like a band equipment case with a little handle buried in there. You could see some of these things if you can click on them. So different shapes. You can see this guy kind of buried in there. That's an old military control console and stuff like that. So that's the cool thing about Fortnite Creative. You have this huge inventory of items, and it's always growing, and you could really kind of express yourself in a creative way without playing claws from remote. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. The Kratos says there's an Israeli startup that has like these playing claws remotely, right? And if you actually get it, like they'll mail it to you or something like that. You just have to pay for shipping.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
That'd be funny. So here's a little area. So just kind of showing you some of the mechanics here. These are our spawn plates. And a couple of rooms here. I want to take you guys outside because it's a funny story. Like I was working on all this arcade stuff, doing a lot of it with Yerk, and then I invited Gatlin in, and we were working, and then my family. Yeah, you pay for shipping. See, nailed it. Business models, love them. So my family, my daughter's out of state. We decided we're going to play Jackbox games. I'm like, okay, buddy. Do you want to log off or you want to stay on? He's like, I'll stay on for a little bit, a couple more hours. Mind you, I had like this building here, right? And a couple of other things. And then when I come back, he sends me a note like, oh, I'm done. Enjoy. Look at this. Oh my gosh.
Entire world.
Master. I love working with talented people. Yeah, so he built this entire environment, trees, rocks, grass. It's just I just had stuff scattered around. But get to the looks later, and thankfully I didn't have to get to the looks because you did.
You walked away, and I was like, dude, bro, it's cool. I got it. Don't you worry about it.
Don't you worry. Yeah, it's probably better. See, that's the thing I'm learning this year is to walk away. Like surround yourself with really talented people and get out of the way. Get out of the way. So anyway, did you want to talk a little bit about like I think one of the really interesting things here is like how overwhelmingly complex this is and how limited we are on memory. So talk to me about your strategy there.
So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I guess we can kind of look on your screen. I guess you could give.
If you want to share your screen, I could swap it.
Let me. Yeah, let's bring this up here. The right one this time. Okay, I think we're good to go.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So a little bit about my background is that I've been an environment artist for video game companies in the past. I teach how to build this kind of stuff at the collegiate level. And the idea is, when it comes to anything art, start with these big, giant, broad strokes, and then slowly start to put in more and more detail as you go further and further down. And then you get down to case in point, these big rocks are literally the first thing I just started dropping in. I was like, I've got these giant big rocks. Let's start putting them in. And the reason I wanted to put these ones in first is because I wanted to give myself a frame. So if we go way up here in the air, if I can actually see here, make it go faster. There we go. The idea was I wanted a picture frame. So that frame is all of these rocks that sit all the way around this entire world. And the reason I'm putting them in there is because I want the player to feel like that they're inside of an environment. I want to make sure that they're in an area that they can't get out of. When it comes to gameplay, we always want to make sure that the player feels like they're in a space, but if they're stopped from going somewhere, there's a reason that they're stopped from going there. Nobody likes invisible walls. It's the worst thing ever of all time. Like it drives me nuts. I know Clever, like it drives you crazy too. Like,
yep, don't want those.
Don't want those at all.
If Jig is still in the stream too, like you don't build a map with lazy artificial barriers. You build physical
give them a reason why you can't get up there, right? Like, so we're inside this I don't know, amusement park, I guess is kind of the thought of what was kind of going on. And I was like, okay, well, if I've got this giant walls, that they can't get into, like what is the biggest piece that I can make? If I can't make it inside of something like Maya or ZBrush, I'm like, well, what do I have here? And it happens to be these pieces. So I was like, all right, cool. Well, the problem was they're actually islands. So I flipped them upside down. So now I've got these giant rocks. And then it's a matter of just kind of setting them in place, rotating them, setting another one in there, change the size, because I don't want it to feel like it's just this copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And the first pass, it always looks copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, because it's just the rocks as they go all the way around. So that's super boring. And I'm like, ugh, that's gross, right? So the next step is to go in and be like, all right, well, now that I've got all these in here, does it feel like it's cohesive? And the answer to that is, well, get down on the actual level. Ooh, let's not get shocked. There we go. And it's like, okay, well, what can I see as the player? Well, I can see like all the way around here. I'm trying to make sure that, it kind of goes up and down. I don't have like a single flat line. Straight edges are great for, sending a character into a specific place, but I don't want them to necessarily be looking at the stuff in the background. I want it to still be kind of boring. I want it to be pushed back at the background for sure. So once I've got all those in, I'm like, all right, cool. Now I've got these really static looking giant rocks. I'm like, well, how am I going to break that up? And I was like, oh, trees. Duh. Like just get crazy with the trees. And then this is the fun part. This is like one of the most enjoyable things is for anybody that's worked in theater, anybody that's worked in video games and movies as well. This is totally a thing that you do. They're just props. And if you look on the other side, they're just, they're not attached to anything. Like there's nothing there. I'm breaking the magic here.
You're ruining it.
All over people.
You can't have that. That doesn't make sense.
This one isn't even in the ground. Like, come on. It's not even a thing, right? So it's just going in and like, okay, now I've got some background noise. Like there's stuff going on in the background. Like what else can I kind of add to it? Hello up there. So my next step is then to go in and like break it up even further. So, take some of the trees. These are quite literally trees, but look, I've used the roots to make it look like the roots coming out of the bottom of the rocks. And I've also got these vines that come across here. So I'm like, cool. Now I'm starting to break up this background so it doesn't feel so repetitive, copy and paste. I've got trees that are, sticking through these things. Like if we go to the other side, like there's quite, I can't phase right now. There we go. Like they're just literally just sticking in here. Like again, we got another floater out here. It's not that big of a deal, but you never know as the player until I just told you, and then I've ruined everything.
Right.
It's all over. So little by little, I take these big broad strokes and then start to kind of narrow them down. There were a couple of places after Clever Like had walked away. I was like, I got these big open spaces. What am I going to do with these big open spaces, right? So I was like, oh, well, I'll just take one of those fountains. I'll just make it huge and I'll drop it in there. And what's cool about it is, look at that. This thing is actually in underneath the ground. So use that to your advantage. Do you need the entire model? Well, if you don't need the entire model, you can just go ahead and just put part of it in there and it works fine. This is a great way to kind of reuse assets. Anything that's a modular asset that you can use over and over and over for different reasons and different purposes, absolutely do. I don't need a fountain with chairs on it. I need a big fountain that's going to fill area. Well, I've got one. Perfect.
It's so cool.
Kind of coming back to what Clever Like had asked earlier, thinking about the memory usage. So if we move the camera up, you can see that the memory usage is almost maxed out. Like it was a little bit rough trying to make sure I could get all these pieces in here. And I wanted to put all this huge giant variety in there, but I couldn't do that because if I drop anything in new, it's going to take up more memory. Like this fountain right here, like it only costs 14 bits of memory for right now. But if I drop in something brand new, it could easily take 1,000 or so. So I have to figure out how to reuse the ones that I've already got in here. So this one got used once here. It got used in over here. It got used over here.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And look, they're all 14.
Yep. And then this one and phase button, I want N key. There we go.
Nice.
And then I've got it right here too. So they're all really cheap because I've got a bunch of them in here now. So this is one of the kind of things that you got to think about when you're working within Fortnite Creative. Like, well, if I'm adding in one, how can I use it again and again and again and again? So once I have all these pieces in here and I'm feeling like this works well and I need to start filling in spots, it's just, okay, well, let's make little scenes, tell stories. The best thing that you can do with environment art is to tell a story. Well, what is the story over here? Well, we've got a whole like little place that you could eat. There's a little sign that happens to be here that, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to tell the story all the way through. But it's like, oh, there's something to kind of look at over here. Like, that's cool. Like, maybe while you're eating over here, you can like watch whatever show is going on. Another big spot that I had to fill in was this little area. I was like, oh, well, I only have one unique piece. So if I'm going to use that one unique piece, I have to make sure that I make it a set piece that somebody's going to really want to look at and check out. And even if the player just completely and totally walks by it, that's gratitude for me because they're ignoring it. I want them to ignore it. I want them to go look at this other stage, this other part of the level, the other area that they're actually going to be interacting with. This is not the important part. This is the important part. So they need to be paying attention to that. But if there's a big blank area right here, then they're like, oh, well, there's something missing. And the human eye is going to go, oh, what's that over there? And then they're going to ruin their game because they're paying attention to that instead of the game. So it's these little subtle tricks that walk all the way through.
Can you phone on that court to see what the size is? Yeah, it's like
646.
646. Yep. Okay, that's good to note.
Yep. So like these little guys, they're just 4. I don't remember what they were originally.
You're looking at that little blinking gray box.
Yeah, that's
that is kind of showing up over the device, over the object.
So big down to small. Like the last couple of pieces that I was dropping in here were these guys. It was the actual grass. So I had to make sure that I had enough memory to get to this point because I had to make sure that we had, all of these pieces that went all the way around. Lining these things up. Oh my goodness. I thank you for showing me that trick, Clever. Like that would have drove me crazy. Little thing. So yeah, when it comes to environment art, think big and then slowly work your way down. And it's going to look, I'm going to warn you now, it's going to look awful for the first like 45 minutes to 2 hours. And then you're going to start to chisel away the pieces that look meh and then start to add in the pieces that look really, really nice.
Yeah. And so we got some good questions coming in. So we're asking about, like, first of all, one was, can you bring new stuff in? No. And we're eyeballing Fortnite Creative 2.0 because they have kind of revealed that Unreal Engine and Fortnite Creative are going to be like hand in hand. And so we're so excited about that. So, we're hoping that can happen. But just like, in the Minecraft world, when you ask for all this control, then they throw in your lap like the responsibility of making all of that stuff. Yeah, Fortnite 2.0, there's been a preliminary announcement on that and a demo. Tim Sweeney and a couple of developers did a video on that. So it's super interesting where you can actually modify the game in real time through Fortnite, through Unreal Engine.
Mm-hmm.
So super interesting. But like when you're playing games nowadays, it's like 14 gigs or 23 gigs to download a video game. Obviously, there's those assets. These visual assets are really big. They have large textures, right?
And it's worth it to kind of learn how this stuff is, especially if you're going to work inside of Fortnite and you're going to go into Fortnite Creative 2, and then you're going to jump into the Unreal Engine. Like if you're taking those steps, it's really important to understand how these things are built on, the very individual level. Like, how is this teddy bear built? Like, it's just one tiny little thing. Like, how is the chair actually built?
Mhm.
And the reason I say that it's important is because it branches into a lot of other aspects of the way that the Unreal Engine is used. It's not just for games. Like there are oodles and oodles of other directions you can go with it.
Yeah. And so again, kind of getting back to like how all these assets are put together and then delivered to us to use, they cost, at the bare minimum, they're going to cost file size, which I think is going to be one of the main issues for this instance of our world. And so this scale, I don't think equates directly to the file size specifically, but that number, that weight value, will be adjusted based on the complexity of the model that you're choosing. So I think, so basically, here's the cool thing, and I forget if you mentioned this directly, but once you take one thing, you have to pay the fee to bring that thing into the world, and it might be like 600 of your memory usage. Yeah, like this car here, right? If you were to take a copy of that car and paste it next to it, then the second one might only cost you like 4. And so that's the economy of memory usage. Since you're bringing it in, you're paying a price to bring it in, but to create multiple instances of the same thing is very cheap. It's more of just like a location of an instance rather than copying all those assets again. So strategy for maintaining memory while you're creating something kind of large is reuse, resize, rotate, hide things like Gatlin did with the fountain. Use things creatively. Look at every object as its entire self and all the pieces that you can make it become cool. Yeah, so that's basically what we did. We're like, oops, we're out of memory, so let's just stick to these few rocks and these few trees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cut. Yeah.
One of the things that I'm really excited about with the Fortnite Creative, because I live in the Unreal Engine. Like I'm in it every day. I was in it hours, minutes before I started the stream. I was like, oh, there's things that are in there, right? And you can just add everything to it. It's going to be really cool to see what we're able to create and add into Fortnite Creative 2 and that pipeline and how that actually works. Like that excites me because, I live inside of programs like Unreal and Blender and Maya and ZBrush and Substance Painter and Photoshop. And I'm like, we get to create all these things. And then I walk into like Fortnite Creative and I'm like, I don't have to make any of that. I've just got this entire library that I can play with. And then I come back and I'm like, but I want to make a thing. I want a waterfall over here on this side. Like, but we don't have a waterfall, so I couldn't actually use that. So I was like, maybe if I could make one.
Not just yet, mister. But I mean, that's actually the great advantage of it. I mean, you do this as a profession, but a student that wants to have a voice and be creative, or teacher that wants to put a lesson in a context that students will understand, actually can take all of these pre-built assets and a user interface that they might be familiar with. Students are certainly going to be familiar with it. And if you're a teacher and not familiar with it, you should have some fun, play. It's a fun time. So that's like what I think is super cool is like very low barrier to entry to have all of these things. You can see all the creative stuff that we do with the inventory. I'm going to swap screens real quick.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, still got me up.
Never mind me. Try that again. All right. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. You guys, I think, you're like Fortnite 2.0. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's hopefully, we'll see. We don't know any secrets. We just know what we heard on the live stream that's public. So, but we're anxious for what's coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I decided, like you see this tower here, I'm going to go into my inventory. So if you haven't already seen the Fortnite Creative inventory, these are the things, the prefabs are like the pre-built structures. They're like all of the pieces that have been assembled in a completely done building that you could just drop in place and work with. So you can look at all of these. This is a significant amount of resources. And once these are in there, they're all the parts. So you can take the pieces and remove them, switch them around, change it up, starting with a complete project and kind of working your way through the editing process rather than starting from the ground up. So you can see this tower here, Printheth Cathal Tower. It just really was calling out to me. That's why I used it. So, but you could see it's not the same. It's not the same exact tower. But I placed the tower and then I started taking the pieces of it to make more floors because that is the Escape from Trivia Tower demo. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to galleries. Galleries are kind of building from the opposite direction. Like, so these are all the pieces and parts that you can use to build something up. So you look for things that are themed. The more familiar you are with the game, the more you know about the different points of interest and the buildings that exist there, like Flush Factory. You would know. Interesting tidbit here. If we go into Flush Factory, this I don't think it's that wall piece, but one of the wall pieces that I have in the arcade actually has a moving graphic on it. That has a toilet handle and it says "Flush it." If Jig's still here, he would like that. He's famous for his toilet related content, professional toilet related content. Yeah. So that's good. It's good to know that you have assets already waiting for you here at the Flush Factory. And then you have so the other cool thing is you could bring them all in, which takes like a lot of memory, or you can go open it up and then you could grab individual pieces and pull them out one by one. So you don't have to use so much memory. Because if you bring in all these new original assets, it's going to really weigh heavy on your memory usage. You have to start erasing things that you're not using or bring them in piece by piece. Devices, these are all the programmable objects that we use, and these are what we cover in the different hours of code lessons, but like really cool stuff. And use wireless channels to communicate. I think at this point there's 150 wireless channels, so these devices and these games can get very complex, and you can trigger checkpoints and trigger the player communication and all kinds of stuff. So the amount of game modes and communication you can put in place is awesome. And you have weapons. Most of what we do in Fortnite Creative is geared towards school age, so we don't do anything with weapons in it. But obviously it's in the game, and a lot of creative game modes that you can make personally outside of school. So that's cool. All your consumables, and then you have the ability to build a chest. Packing items into a chest and then putting that chest in the world. Can you erase it once built? Yeah. You could take a prefab and you can just kind of hand pluck individual pieces. Every single piece that is in like the gallery is kind of assembled as a prefab. So it's a little overlap. And you can use the Prop-O-Matic. Yeah, that is one of the weapons. There's like the Prop-O-Matic, the flashlight, the torch. Those are weapon classes that you can use. Prop-O-Matic just changes you into whatever prop you pointed at.
I think really Kratos is asking about, once we drop a prefab in, can you take the whole thing out like the bank that you've got in there? Can you take it out in one go?
Oh, in one go?
Yeah.
No. Those assets are individual. So as we bring it in, you get every single individual piece. So you would have to basically, hold down the X key while you're looking at all of them. Make sure nothing important is behind it because you don't want to accidentally delete that. And just delete all that stuff.
If anybody at Epic is listening, that's a feature request for Fortnite 2, please.
Okay, one of the interesting considerations here. So I'm in the trivia tower, and what I did was I put portals in there. So you spawn into these 4 different nodes. So I made 4 different portals. They're all in the same spawn group. So that means when a portal it will send you to a spawn group, and so it'll basically pick any one of these 4 portals to put you in, and you'll kind of drop down to the first floor, the first question. Now this was a real pain. I had to like basically destroy everything and start over because I didn't line up the tower properly for this floor platform to be centered on a square, because my trick tile perfectly centered inside here, and it's designed to break the floor when you get the correct answer, a trick tile. And they have to snap to like a physical structural floor, not just a floor piece floating anywhere. So the alignment in the world was super important on that one. And then I've got the buttons for the different answers, which wirelessly send an answer to one of the functions. And oh yeah, this was fun. Function castle. So the functions are kind of dropped in here. So the wrong answer and the correct answer functions I kind of hid inside of this house. And you just basically go through, build your own trivia questions. Every time you get the correct, you program what the correct answers are, and the player would play through all of them. And then at the very end, they will collect this coin to basically mark the end of the game, and then head into the portal, take them back to the lobby. Okay, so that's the Escape from Trivia Tower Hour of Code lesson, where we teach the basics of that, and that's kind of a more elaborate version of that build. Hello. Okay, so the next one is the music. There's a button here that triggers the music. But let's go over and look at that. Now, the sequencer is this object here with a pad and a pause button. And these, what's cool is these music blocks you can align using your snap to grid. Yeah, is it possible to build 2 towers and do a PvP version? Yeah, totally. I mean, you could also, yeah, absolutely. And then you have like each of them has their own coin, and whoever gets the coin first wins. That could be your thing. I mean, and if you really want to go PvP, I mean, you could, have some windows there and have them attack each other. But yeah, no, like if it's just pure trivia PvP, definitely have the win condition be whatever they collect on the bottom, and whoever gets to the bottom first wins of their towers. Good question. Cool. So what we did with this lesson is really teaching loops, because the sequencer is really is a really cool tool for kind of triggering as it moves through. You'll see there's a pulse, and that pulse goes through this box, this big rectangle, this volume, and triggers anything it touches along the way. And so it's going to trigger the song that we made to kind of demo it. Isn't that beautiful?
It's gorgeous.
Who's got a tear in their eye? I'm a little verklempt.
It's going to be platinum.
Yeah, so in the lesson includes the sheet music. This exact sheet music is one of like the more advanced ones. You could also use your own, but I tried to pick songs that were easy and attainable for anyone to do. So it's fun because you're creating a music using a tool that could be used for other things. So it forces you to get familiar with the sequencer and the looping, but you're doing something new and interesting and fun in the process. And that's kind of been our process through a lot of this stuff. I'm going to start the game. Is to make it fun. Yeah, you got it. Any topic will do. The Holy Roman Empire was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. Discuss. Okay, so we're kind of in the world in playing mode. So this is kind of cool here. We're going to go into the obstacle course.
I've not done this. This is going to be awful.
Okay, let's see what happens. Do you see how it says welcome and it triggered us?
Oh, look at that.
I have it visually displaying so you could see it, but we can make that hidden so you won't know. So it just acknowledged our entrance into the obstacle course, which kind of in the background has changed our class. And so our classification is now a certain classification where whatever happens in this world kind of applies just to us. Here's a little checkpoint. Now the checkpoint is active. If we die any point during the game, we'll come back to this checkpoint because we're in that class. Atlin, all right. Now you just got to navigate these, and don't jump on this thing yet. Okay, this thing gives you ice feet.
Oh, this thing. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then so you have to go down, and then jump, and jump, and jump, and then
way too many times.
jump. Okay.
Oh, mulligan.
It's tricky. So the obstacle course lesson was teaching about collision detection, and I think what's interesting about collision detection is, first of all, it resonates with students that play games because they're familiar with hitboxes, you know, and stuff like that. So especially if they're old enough and playing shooting games, you deployed your glider. We'll have that turned off by the time the game launches, but yeah, anyway, so hitboxes are kind of a thing that kind of resonate with students. And we can talk about how it's invisible, but there is a physical detecting box. And also these objects that we just ran into, see, they hit us when we step too close to them. So the collision of the spikes is also something to notice. And we're in a virtual 3D world, so this has to be done with math. It can't be done with just with your eyeball. The computer has to know. You still have the ice boots on. Dude,
there was a conversation about being nice to your players. I think we had once.
You're a hot mess here. Yeah. I don't know. I thought this was. I was gonna say I thought this was simple, and there I go. I just died.
You got ice shoes.
You're right. It's terrible. So anyway, yeah. So let's get to the end because there's a payoff at the end. Okay, so let's. So I was talking about the collision. Yeah, the collisions. It's really helpful. The cool thing, our Unreal Engine Hour of Code actually has a section where we talk about collisions, and it actually allows you to show the collision mesh. And so you could actually physically see what the player's collision geometry is, and also what the object collision geometries are inside the game, which is super cool. That you kind of get an idea of now, like, oh, okay, this is really what's happening. And so this one here, you see, I'm kind of got this yellow glow. I'm in a damage volume right now, and I kind of made this to panic the player. I'm taking a small tick of damage, but it's enough to kind of throw you off, and they got this triple spike up ahead. So if you panic, you could end up making a bad decision here. All three of those are triggered. I can make it through. So there's an invisible volume inside where those torches are, and I put the red torches there to kind of warn you. There's Gatlin. Ready? Dude, you've got it. You've got it. Careful. Okay, here we go. Now this is like a speed modifier. Shoots me over here. Ooh, just made it. And now this one. These are bounce pads. Ooh, there's the target. Yeah! Let the player know they did it. And now I get teleported back to the end here. The ice man. Okay, good. The game's like had enough. So, oh shoot. Let's take a look at some of the anatomy of this real quick. So we have some of the hidden things. Like this is our damage volume, and it's not visible. The damage type is over time a damage of 2. It'll damage shields. Okay. We could turn on this this click here, this icon to show all of the features. So the tick rate is every 2 seconds, and you get a damage of 2. Okay. Well, that's weird. Did you just die? Did you trigger that?
I might have ended up in the spikes.
That's weird. They shouldn't be. They should be triggered. Let's see if I can. Yeah, start game. Okay, so these little things are the fireworks. They're from a gallery, like a particle gallery. So we can enable, we have them not enabled during game phase, but we enable them when they receive from channel 59 and disable when they receive from channel 58. So you can see this trigger here. It's invisible in game, but when the player lands on it, triggers the fireworks on 59. So let's have a quick look at that. If I click on the, if I'm thinking about the networking, I'll click on the network when triggered transmit on 59. Okay, let's see here. Do we have a delay? Trigger everyone, take damage. No, activating class, any. So these guys, let's see what we got here. Okay. Nice. Okay, so we have 59. This is our portal that we got teleported to. Let's see what happens here. So 58, teleport when receiving from 58. So when the fireworks are done, we get teleported to this location here. So trigger the fireworks, make them go on, and then when they're done, send you back to the start. Some of the mechanics there. Oh, this is our hidden triggers. So you could stretch these things out. So we've got these stretched out to cover the area. So when you come in and hit this one, it sets you for being inside. And this is a HUD display message. So it says, welcome to the obstacle course. It could be placed anywhere, but I placed it close in proximity to my trigger so that I could manage them together when I'm troubleshooting. There is a, over here, a class selector. This is the thing that changes me to a different class. So I become class 5 when I come in, and when I go out, I get changed back to class 1. So I know how these things are interacting with me. So Kratos asked a good question, and this is so cool. And one of the features I just noticed. So let me go here. I'm going to hit E. So one of the things is there's a gear next to these objects. And so I could rename it. Instead of just trigger, I could say, welcome to obstacle course, and then save it. Now, if I go into my inventory, there's a channel browser. So Kratos is like, do you log all the channels? Like, how do you keep track of this? And yes, you should have a plan for your 150 channels. But what's cool is that the channel browser will show you all of what's going on. And let's see. Oh yeah, collectible objects. All of these collectible objects are those glowing coins on the slide. There's a lot of them. All right, let me see if I could see the welcome to the obstacle course. Oh, there it is. See, welcome to the obstacle course. And so you could teleport directly to that item. So you can see, what the heck is that thing? And you can see why renaming it comes in handy, because if you're trying to track those things down, they get labeled in your code. So I go to my inventory is the channel browser. And when you're editing an object, that's where you have the gear to change its name. Those are some good tips for keeping track of complicated builds. All right, cool. Yeah, so our next one is this coin race. This is our lesson on variables, where we wanted to show like how variables are used in game, you know, like just the simple scorekeeping thing. Like how do we increment your score? Now in the lesson, we talk about in the hour of code lesson, we increment by 1, we'll subtract by 5, we'll add by 10. Like you can create different score modifiers, so you can create something more interesting in the game that you build. But the, you know, like in this case, what we have going on is you'll teleport here and you'll eat these French fries. French fries, they're not good for you. They're greasy, so they give you grind power. It's a grind power up, which basically is like those ice on your feet. Which Gatlin, that's one of your favorite things now, right?
That's a very strong F word for that. I think favorite.
You can see here. I thought this was pretty creative. I thought this was clever. Like,
I see what you did there.
Yeah. This barrier is actually, it's a hollow box, and it's invisible. And if you could see the line for the box, it surrounds the entire slide. So when you're in the game, you're inside the box, but you can't get outside of the box. So you can't jump out of the slide. It won't let you. I think that invisible barrier is acceptable. I like it. Therefore, it's acceptable. And then you see you have a score manager. So we can basically have it get activated. You know, so it's going to reset when it receives from 12. So when you get teleported out of here, it goes back to 0. When you collect a coin, every coin is transmitting on 111. When you pick up a coin, 111. Boop, 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 over and over. And so what it's doing is, change it to all the settings. Score changed when activated. So it's changing the score, and it's displaying it on the screen. So when the user makes it to the bottom of the race, they'll be able to see kind of like what their score is. Well, maybe we move this portal a little back there. Yeah, so you'll see your score. Well, let's play that real quick. We have to guess which portal it's in, because I haven't labeled them yet. I haven't figured out where I want to put the entrance to all of these. Which one are you going to go in?
I always go to the right side, always.
All right, go for it.
Oh, made it.
Yeah. Oh, there you are. We're watching you. What's your score?
26. What do you got? Bring it.
Nice. Okay. Oh, yeah? You want a challenge?
Let's do this.
See
if the designer can beat the player.
You want to do this? Is that how you want to do that? Guy? You think you're a tough guy? Tough guy collecting coins and stuff? Okay. Oh, man. You... 24. 29. 29, I mean. 20. Watch this.
29, perfect.
29. 29. All right.
I'm calling hacks.
I'm not a sore loser. Good job, Gallon. Good job. You earned it. I noticed the coins didn't get reset, though.
I did. Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's part of the reason you didn't get as many is because you didn't have as many to run into.
Yeah. I think we changed the game mode, the team situation, so that it's a co-op game mode, and I'm wondering if we didn't reset those properly. So that's one of the things we're on to next. Trying again, aren't you?
Oh, I got 23 that time.
You had to do that. You had to spoil. Okay, so the next one is we have the escape room, which is really the if then else, right? Which is just a conditional button. So like, how could you take, once you learn a conditional button, how could you turn that into something that allows you to basically tell a story or communicate? So one of the things I have here is I have reach into the bush.
How would you know to even do that?
Well, it's my hidden secret.
Huh.
I have other coins elsewhere that are more obvious, but no, I wanted to show that one. The door's locked, but I have a conditional button here. It's asking, for 1 coin, for the low price of 1 coin, I'll open the door. So I interact with it, and now the door's unlocked. Okay, so the cool thing here, I'm going to, this door would normally be locked. I have it programmed to be open by default. If I go in here, we're going, see, I just got kicked out. If you go into the vault, there's a security camera that catches you using a perception trigger, which is a trigger that sees the player and could detect when a player comes into view and goes out of view and decides what to do from that. So I've using the perception trigger as a way to deal with this game mode. And I probably should pull everybody should get booted out and reset everything back to the beginning. Because you're not able to do that. So I'm still working on the implementation of this escape room, if you will. You have to go upstairs. There's a computer up there. I'll escape. We'll quit the game real quick. Show you where we're at with that. And we'll be wrapping up here in a few minutes. So I think we're just about up through all of our things. So yeah, this in the bush, you can see this is my little item granter, but inside the bush here, I am physically inside the bush right now, and there's a push button that has like an activation radius. And that's, you can see it with the blue with the blue sphere, which is cool. Yeah. And now you can go in there, and then like what I have here, like up by this computer up on the second floor, this button will be invisible. So really, like when you walk up to this chair to kind of look over the chair at the computer that's on the desk, it'll ask you to basically, the message is disable security cameras. You could say like hack security computer, whatever you want, which will send a message to turn off the perception trigger, which is the thing that's been spoiling us when we get into this. Here's the perception trigger. I put it right over top of the security camera, and you could set it what to do. So it has a 2-second delay when it sees you. And what I'm going to do with the 2-second delay is have a sound playing and a message that tells you, you failed to try again. Does having hidden items like that impact performance, or just, yeah, it's not really a performance issue at all.
Yeah, make it invisible.
Yeah. It probably improves performance to have them, because then there's no calculation of shadows and reflections and stuff like that. But it's the Unreal Engine is super powerful. And I don't know if you saw the demo of the upcoming future versions. They have billions of objects rendered.
I'm so excited. So much excitement.
It's like every little pebble rolling down the hill is a separately textured, animated geometry. I don't know how they do it. It's amazing.
It's on magic. It's amazing.
It's unreal. This here is a billboard with a transparent background. You can see the shape of the billboard. And put it on there to look like a sign. Right. So we did our escape from Trivia Tower. We did our music looping. We did our variable counting with the slide. We did our obstacle course, collision detection, and we did our conditional button, if then else. And so when this is done, you'll have an island code published. So you'll be able to kind of explore this world with students where they can play and get an idea of kind of what is most applicable for them, or what they want to learn the most, and then they could follow that hour of code lesson. So that's really what this is going to be, just a demo, explore world for them to go. And when it's done and ready, we'll let you know what the island code is so that any student could jump in and join that. Cool. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Friday. I got my doggies here. Georgie, come here. Come here. She'd bring a sock. Golden retrievers, they always have to bring you something. Yeah. So this is my doggies. They say hi. They say have a good Friday. Gatlin, do you have any words? Anybody else have any questions before we end it?
I was actually looking for my cats. I think they're all up asleep on the couch. They've been bugging me all day for food.
Yeah. Will you be live again next week? Yes. So that is my hope, is to try to keep this time slot. So I want to once Steve gets into his position, settled in over at Epic, we'll see kind of like what we can do to kind of team up and cover some more stuff that works with what he's trying to do. But yeah, we're certainly interested in Fortnite Creative is a big part of what we do and how we, the value I think we bring to educators and students. So we'd love to keep it going. If you keep joining us, we'll keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys for all being here. This like right on an hour, right on the nose, pretty much. So I'm gonna do that. Yeah, Kratos hopes we do. Yeah. Well, please send us comments on these videos. Send comments and questions. Tell us, what you want to see next, and we'll do that. Cool beans. All right. Thanks everybody for joining. Have a good weekend.
Adios.